Hey everyone, welcome to Ask the Dogman. We come to you live on both Facebook and YouTube today, and James is doing with audio, so it may get better or worse here in a second. So this is Angel Soriano, aka Dogman, alongside our producer James.
Hi.
Say hi.
Hi.
Hi. It's a man of many words. So we're ready to bring you yet another show. We're kind of excited. There's a lot of questions already on the hamper, so we're going to talk about those here in a second. If you're new to the show, here's a quick description of what we do. It's pretty simple, actually. This is a show where we offer solutions to your canine behaviors and training questions. It's not that hard, right? It's just, you think of something, you pop it. I mean, it's that simple. Let me explain how you can pop those questions, how you can actually get some coverage with us. You just add your questions in the comment section of the Facebook or the YouTube feed, whichever one you're watching, and we see them pop up, and then, you know, it's that simple. Then James gets to talk to us and say, hey, something is going on, and here's the question. So for now, just comment back, let us know you can see us or hear us, especially hear us, because we had a sound issue right as we started for some reason, and then he fixed it. Or maybe he didn't fix it if you cannot hear us. So anyway, give us a little notion that you are there and we are here. James mentioned that there is some sort of game that is going to start later on, right?
Yeah.
So my coaching to you is put the pregame stuff on mute. They have nothing good to say anyway. Why don't you listen to what we have to say for this amount of time? So. Did I get all the obligatory stuff out of the way yet?
Yes.
What are we struggling with?
The internet.
The internet. All right. Well, connect to the internet and we'll figure it out here. By the time you connect, we're probably going to have a million questions, aren't we? Yeah. So, okay. So obviously we don't know if we have any live questions yet, but I bet we have a bunch of them already.
We have a bunch. I'm sure we have a bunch of them, but we do have email questions.
We have email questions. Yeah, you mentioned that. That's kind of cool. So again, this week, unless you guys post some stuff, and by the way, answering questions directly from you is a lot more fun for us. And I'm sure it's a lot more fun for you since you're getting your questions answered. So if you think of something, pop it in the comment section and we'll get to it and we'll be able to do it. And if not, James is going to go through a whole bunch of email questions that we have, and we're just going to go through the lumps, if you may. Okay, we do have a lot of them. I know we're not going to get to them all. It's just that they kind of accumulate over time. So, James, why don't you go to the first one? Yeah.
All right. So Katie asked via email, what can she do to keep her dogs from escaping out of the backyard?
That's it, huh?
That's it.
Okay. Katie, a lot of subject there for a short question. So I guess the first order of business is, I'm going to give you several answers. One is, do you have like a fence, or do you not have a fence? Are they jumping over the fence, or is it that they're just getting out of the yard because you don't have a fence? A lot of neighborhoods don't allow to have fences. So I don't know the whole quirks of your question, but I can give you both because there's going to be somebody out there that can profit from the other, right? So first order of business is if you don't have a fence, right? Then better obedience, right? If you're saying, hey, I opened the door to go do business and these guys take off and they leave and they come back whenever, better obedience on your dog should give you, right? A good solid recall, a come command, a hear command should give you the control of this animal coming back to you when you need them to come back, right? So, the answer to a lot of these problems sometimes comes down to plain obedience, but solid obedience, nothing else, okay? Now, if you're dealing with a escapee, basically, somebody that's digging out, somebody that's jumping over the fence, that's usually the question. I bet that's where you're going with all this. Jumping over the fence, climbing the fence. I've had really good fence climbers, by the way. We had a female one time that was climbing a 6-foot fence. We're talking climbing a 6-foot fence. So, escapees are pretty good sometimes. If you're dealing with escapee, a different answer altogether, and that is, what can we do to make your yard a lot more fun than the other side of it? Because the other side is bringing a lot of good stuff. It's bringing a dog that she may not like or he may not like. It's bringing people that she does like. It's bringing noises. It's bringing, excitement that you don't have. So the idea here is to make your yard really exciting and then do everything supervised. Everything in your yard should be a supervised condition, a supervised operation, meaning they should not be in this backyard alone until they know how to do this, right? They should not be in this backyard alone until the day that you feel that, hey, they're not escaping anymore. They're fine. If they're digging, the question is, where are they digging? Are they digging in a soft area? If they're digging in a soft area, then you got to make it a little harder. But nonetheless, you still have to babysit the process. You got to be there to be able to interrupt the problem. You have to be able to say, knock it off. You got to be able to, to do things that will interrupt the dog from doing, things that you don't want him to do. So anyway, so two answers. One is, make your yard a lot more fun to be in for the dog. And by the way, it's not like you're not making it fun. It's just understand that it's probably not fun for the dog if he wants to escape. Obviously, it's a lot more fun on the other side. And the other one is, if you don't have a fence, then it's obedience, 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 right? You got to get on top of this dog so you can open the door, say, go do your business. And when they do their business, you can actually call them back and say, hey, let's go back inside. Don't expect a dog that is unfenced to just hang out in its perimeter for a period of time. Now, I'm going to give you one more, and I hate to make this answer so much longer, but I'll give you one more, and that is, if you do live in a neighborhood where they don't allow fences, you can put invisible fences in. There's a company called that, actually, but there's a whole bunch of other companies that do it that are not called that. And there's fences you can actually buy yourself. You bury the wire. It's a little thin wire that you bury. They wear a collar. It gives them an alert so many feet to it. Anyway, it's another way of trying to keep your dog in your perimeter, not necessarily in your fence, because you won't have one. So anyway, go with that and see. Do post back or send us another email like you did on the first one, and we'll try to continue to answer questions for you. What else you got, James?
All right. So next one on the email from Kat. We have 5 dogs that keep us busy all the time, all rat terriers. They're a handful. I want to know how to keep these guys busy without my intervention.
Keep him busy without your intervention. Wow. Well, Cat is it?
Yep.
I don't know how to answer that properly or without being offensive. And I'm not trying to be offensive, but here's the deal. You got dogs. I know you grew to 5, not because you wanted to. You probably did it one at a time. It's funny, they're all rat terriers. These are high energy dogs, typically. Okay, so if you look at your whole pack, I'd be willing to bet that 80% of them are high energy animals. That's what they were bred to do. They're little hunters. So you need to, show them some hunting, teach them some hunting skills if they don't have them. Okay, dogs that are house dogs typically lose their skills that they were bred with. So you just have to sharpen them, right? But as the question of, hey, I want these guys, I guess you're saying you want these guys to entertain themselves. It is hard to do that. Dogs are so domestic and they want their humans so badly that what happens typically is that they want to spend time with you. And because they want to spend time with you, then they get in trouble if you're not around. They're going to get destructive. They're going to dig. They're going to jump over stuff. They're going to chew things up. They're going to be a mess, okay? Simply because their humans are not around. So my input to you is, I hate to give you this answer, but do spend time with them. Now, I know 5 is a lot of effort, but teach them games they can all play together with you, right? But they are going to need their human interaction, and if not, they're just going to get in trouble, right? So my input is tap into the hunt instinct, right, that they have. They were bred with it. And then do it together with all of them, right? Teach them, how to hunt things. And you may want to hide, stuffed birds. And I'm not talking real birds here for those who are, bird protectors. I'm talking about stuffed animals. You can teach them how to hunt for these feathers. You put feathers in them and how to hunt for them. You can bury them. You can do different things and let these guys go do it. They're good little hunters, okay? You can have a lot of fun with them and do it as a team, and it keeps them all busy, okay? Now, you didn't talk about aggression, but typically the breed brings a little bit of aggression when they get competitive. That's about the only time I've seen it actually in the breed. So anyway, I hope that answers your question. Give us feedback in the future if it doesn't, or if it does, I'd like to know how this went. So anyway, good luck with it. James?
All right. Next up from Sasha, are there any certain breeds of dog that are prone to more aggressive or perhaps moody behaviors?
Moody. I don't even want to touch Moody. Actually, I will. I'll start with Moody. We're all moody. What's her name again? Sasha? Sasha, we are all moody, okay? And as a factor of age, we all get moodier. Is that a word?
Yeah,
sure. It is today. My input is, yeah, they can all be moody. You can get a very soft, gentle dog and you put 12, 13 years in them and they may just get a little moody. I mean, this guy's 2 years old or a girl is 2 years old and, maybe by the time she gets 12, she might be moody, right? So the moody part, I'll tell you that it's probably a factor of, either pain or age, right? If you have an old dog that's in pain or a young dog that is in pain, then, that's going to happen. Now, relative to aggression, a different point, and that is you have your protective breeds that fall into a category. You have all these groups of dogs. You get your hunting groups, and you have your protective breeds. And by the way, even some of your hunting dogs within that hunting group may have a little bit of protection in them, meaning just that protective instinct. So yes, if you're looking for a particular set of breeds, I would say look at the instinctively bred protective breeds, defensive breeds, Rottweilers, personal protection, Dobies, interesting pit bull terriers fall into that. A lot of terriers fall into that category, by the way, not just the pit bull.
Boxers?
Boxers fall into that category as well. As a matter of fact, James has got 2 of them, so he can speak from experience. Belgian Malinois, oh my gosh, the list goes on. If you go look at the list, there's probably, easily 35, 40 different breeds in there that are protected breeds. Giant Schnauzer, right?
I would say if you watch the Westminster Dog Show,
Yes.
the entire working group falls into that category.
Yep.
They're all designed to protect something or another.
Yep. Very good point. As a matter of fact, a lot of the sheepdogs would have that protective instinct. So if you're asking the question as a result of, hey, I need an instinctively protective dog for some reason, then look at that group and you're going to find a lot of dogs that you can, evaluate. Now, do not assume that because you bought yourself, let's say, a Rottweiler, and I don't want to pick on any one breed, don't assume that because you picked this Rottweiler, you now have the world's best protective breed, or the dog that is going to do protection for your police work or whatever you're going to do with it, or whatever you're thinking of doing with it. That's a bad assumption. The puppy and the young adult needs to be tested, evaluate it, and figure out, does this dog have it? Okay, we do this all the time, and we come across a lot of dogs in the protective groups or the working groups that, guess what? They don't have it. They weren't bred for it. They just happen to be in that group, but they have no interest in the fight. I come across a lot of German Shepherds that don't qualify for it. So at least you're starting with the right group, but it doesn't mean that every dog within that group is going to do it. So anyway, I hope that gives you an answer, and I hope that if it doesn't, you'll have to pop another question. So,
and it may not even necessarily, and to add to that, doesn't necessarily mean that group of dog is just specifically designed for protection work or moody or whatnot, because we've done protection work with a Jack Russell.
Yeah, that's a very good memory jogger. As a matter of fact, the dog's name was Jack. We did this many years ago. Little Jack Russell by the name of Jack. Had the spirit, had the fight in him, and guess what? Little terrier actually did it, and he went on to be fully certified. Nice dog, actually. So anyway, so that good memory. Yeah. What else do you have?
So next up, Bill wants to know if we are ever going to do, or if we've considered doing a podcast.
We've gotten that question before, haven't we? So here's the deal on podcasts. It's going to take a little bit of, it's a good question, by the way, Bill. Bill. It's a really good question. And the reason we think it's a good question is because we've been evaluating, we've been just looking into it. It's going to take a little bit of cost and a little bit of effort. Anything you put labor into takes time. So what we need from all of you here listening is give us a comment back and tell us yes on the podcast. Just think of this. This is sort of a podcast, but video, and it's, you're not getting the video value because we're not presenting anything more than this little girl here in front of you, right? But we're not doing a demo of the things that we're talking about. We're just talking. So the audio is there. This is a perfectly good example of a discussion that can go into a podcast. And we're thinking and planning on doing this in the future. It's just some cost involved. But to be able to evaluate that cost a little better, give us a comment back anytime in the near future and just say, hey, go do it, or we really would like a podcast instead of the video. We'll probably do both anyway because we already have captured it. But give us that feedback because it helps me try to plan the budget to say, yeah, we should go spend the money on this. But it just takes time. That's all. It's not horrific time. It just takes time. So the answer is yes, we're going to go do it sometime in the future, but it's going to be based on the feedback that we get from all of you.
All right.
Good question.
Good question. Okay, so next up, Kathy wants to know. Let me see here. Let me get my bearings here. That they've just recently adopted a 5-year-old female English Mastiff that fights with their other dogs, which are older labs. The fights are typically pretty fierce.
Whoa.
They're now concerned about her turning on the family. She stops when we hit her, and she sits and growls a little bit afterwards. Is this concerning?
Yeah. Who's the writer?
Kathy.
Kathy is concerning on many fronts. I don't even know how to start. If I can remember it all, you're going to have to refresh my memory here as we continue on. So, one is I need to clarify that the fact that these dogs are having issues with each other does not mean that they're going to have issues with people. Typically, those are two different types of aggression. So often we see aggression, dog on people, but not dog on dog, or we see dog on dog, but not dog on people. And a percentage, we see both. But when we see both, it's not the same aggression. It's two different types of aggression. It's two different fixes that we got to deal with. We got to deal with the fix on the people and the fix on the dog. So to your question of, hey, they've been doing this with the dogs and they've been getting into these bad fights, and is that going to be on the family now? Well, I doubt it. Okay, so my input is, without even knowing the dog, I can say I doubt it. I would love to meet the dog and give you a better reading. But I just, it's not a classical progression. Okay, classical progression is going to be other dogs, maybe other animals, but not that. Okay, and this is most likely an alpha order issue within your pack, so I expect that to continue to move on. Now, will that move on to people? Gosh, I don't want to go to court trying to answer this because I haven't met the dog, but it's not what we typically see. So the answer is probably not, but who knows? Concerning stuff, you say, hey, this dog growls or continues to growl after you hit her. So a few things that concern me. One is this dog growling at you or growling at the other dogs after you've interrupted this sequence? If it's growling at you, then we have a different problem. Now we have an alpha struggle that's going on between this dog and you. If it's at the other animals, then she was not done and that was a bad interruption. Now I'm going to move into the part of the interruption. It's never safe. It's never recommended. It's just not a good idea to slap, hit, kick, do anything. I'm not suggesting you're kicking, but it's not recommended that you do that type of interruption on your animal, that type of correction on your animal. Okay. There are many better ways of doing it. Including equipment, pinch collar, slip collar, whatever, something that you can actually put on this dog to say, hey, you're going to live on this or with this equipment until I see the day that you are behaving properly among the pack, right? And then you monitor every single case, every single social event, etc., until this dog gets better. It's not going to get better unless you receive some quality help, some conditioning work that's going to have to take place. So I recommend you look us up, a behavior specialist, a behavior person, to look at this issue. This is not something you should be working alone. They're complex and it's hard to tell over the camera here as to what is going on with the dog since I haven't seen it. But I'm just giving you a little bit of coaching here as to what you could or could not do going forward that may help you. So I hope that helps. Anyway, good luck with that. James?
Yeah, and I just posted the link again to the recommended way to break up a dog fight.
Cool.
All right.
What do you have?
Next up, I have... let me look through my notes here. We have from Marianne that they just adopted a 2-year-old Great Dane. He's great with our family and our friends. Really happy with him. He recently started snapping at our 8-year-old golden retriever. Sometimes rushes at him, snaps, growls, and then backs away after the retriever lays down.
Okay.
Should we bring him back to the rescue? Should we let him work it out? Help.
Yeah. Yeah. Another case of possibly an alpha struggle situation going on. Who was the writer?
Marianne.
Another case of potential alpha struggle, Marianne. And that is that, you've taken in a dog. He's now getting his feet wet in the family, per se. He's getting settled in. There's every chance that new dog is getting a lot more attention than old dog, simply because new dog is fun. Right? I mean, I'm not there, but I'd be willing to bet that, a young dog is a lot more fun than the old dog who's laying around and hanging out. So that's typically the case. So if that's what's going on, then new dog is getting a lot more attention, which is, basically, putting him in a position of power over the rest of the pack. And the rest of the pack happens to be this other little dog, or this other older dog. So, alpha struggles are things that need to be fixed. You need to figure out who the real alpha dog is, and it's not determined by age. It's not determined by how much, how longer he's been there, or how, what those terms are. It's really determined on their actions within the pack. So we got to figure out how they're doing this. Again, this is another case of professional help. On anything that's aggression, I typically go see a specialist, go see an expert, because these things can go out of control and get carried away and get in trouble, and we really don't want to coach you the wrong way, especially over the air, since these shows are intended to be, informational for the most part. I'm giving you that, but I want to make sure you don't react on that information right off the bat unless you see a professional. But again, alpha struggles are fixable. That's the cool thing about this, that they're a fixable event, but typically, but we need to understand who's the alpha dog really. Right? And again, it's not your 10-year-old or 8-year-old dog. I don't know if it is, but it's just the age alone doesn't make him that. All the other actions that are going within the pack is what makes him that, if he truly is. Maybe the new guy is. And then we put a plan together that says, well, this is how we're going to fix it now that we know who the real alpha dog might be. So anyway, I hope that helps for now, but it's open-ended. Go see a specialist. Love to help you out. This is the kind of stuff we do all the time. James?
All right, I think we've got time for one more.
Sure.
Mike asked, what are the correct dog park etiquettes? My dog gets jumped on almost every time we go to the dog park. Nothing real serious, but there's always a bully chasing him around, cornering him, and growling at him.
Yeah, that's horrible. Okay, so what's her name? Mike? Mike. So, Mike, first order of business, we have a video. So if you go to the channel, that we actually have a video, right?
I'm going to try and post it.
If it lets you work. Okay. So James is going to try to post it on there. There's a link to it, or will be to it. But we have a video that actually deals with dog park etiquette specifically, right? And that's simply because it's a problem. Now, the fact that your dog is chasing you, doing all that kind of stuff, sometimes as the owners, as the humans in the pack, as we are called to action. And what I mean by that is we're called to defend our dogs, right? And the best way to do that is primarily, if you're at this dog park and this is always happening, have you tried a different dog park, first of all? If it's also happening there, I would then take on the discussion with the people that own the dogs. There are signs everywhere in the dog parks that says no aggressive dogs, no this, no that. If these dogs are actually doing this kind of stuff, that just means you have a softer dog than the rest of that pack, but they're not allowed to go chase them, right? That makes them an unqualified dog to be there. Now, the problem is that there's no PD, there's no one policing the actions that are going on. The only thing you can do is go talk to those people and say, hey, do you mind taking your dog off of mine, or do you mind controlling your animal? And by the way, the minute you open up your mouth, you're going to find that other people there will do the same thing. They'll be the party. There'll be other folks going, yeah, what he said. So anyway, take action by protecting your dog in that sort of way. Just get involved and ask people to be nicer, or to control their dogs a little nicer. You say this enough, and the jerk with the brown dog is not going to come to that park anymore, right? And then that's good, because then your dog is safe. So, James, what do you think? We have time for one more?
No, I think we're good.
We're good? Well, good. Okay. Well, we did get through a few written questions, and that's pretty good. So that was the goal in our show here. So thank you for tuning in again to Ask the Dogman Live today. We appreciate everything you guys do and being here, and we look forward to next week. In the next 1 or 2 weeks, we're going to have a week off because of a travel trip that I have, and I hate doing this alone. I need James, and truly it's a vacation. I don't want to take James with me. I want to take my wife with me. So we're sorry if we today we're sorry if we did not get to your question or if it popped it. We had some technical. We always have a technical issue. You notice? Anyway, we'll make sure that we respond to any questions right online here in the comments section. At least you have something to go on. We do hope to see you next week on Thursday. We'll be here, which is the 20th. 6:30, same time. There will be a game at 7, so we're going to be competing with that. But mute it. It's pregame. No one wants to watch pregame stuff. Okay, so we will send your typical announcements as we normally do. All we ask, my friends, is for some social traction from you. If you like what you got today, if you like the replay, right? Because some of you see this on replay. As a matter of fact, most of you see this on replay later. It's kind of fun. Give us a like, give us a share, give us a heart, a comment, something. That's all we do this for. It's nothing else. Okay, so last, I would not be doing my job if I did not remind you all to not struggle with your dog training or behavioral issues. This is what we do, and we'd love to help you out. So if you have a problem, give us a jingle. We'd love to help you. This is Angel Soriano, aka Dogman, barking back at you. You asked, we answered.
Okay.
You get it?
That was awful.
So what happened in the beginning? Was it internet connection?
No, for what your computer, I say your computer, Cox, it's on, off, on, off, on, off.
Oh, no.
And nothing would load. Like,
So I wonder how these did.
that was working fine because I had finally just gave up when we got Lynn's phone so I could monitor consistently. And she was watching it on the tablet just fine.
So it was Cox.